The rapid and ruthless humbling of crypto prices last year has slowed down, but the consequences for crypto companies continue. Silvergate Bank is the latest casualty, and it's going out of business right now. The bank did business with some of the crypto market's biggest players and was responsible for around $11 billion in customer assets. Those will now be handed back to their owners, but the firm's unpaid liabilities are an open question. The firm called the move a voluntary liquidation. It comes amid investigations into the company by US federal and California financial authorities and an anticipated rise in regulatory scrutiny of the crypto sector. For more on this now, let's go to Han Tan, who is in Abu Dhabi. He is the Chief Market Analyst at Xinity Group. Han, many thanks for being with us today. So my first question for you, Han, first of all, what's happening in the crypto world, especially after the whole FTX saga that we saw in the autumn?
Right. So currently the name of the game is about survival, right? Or at least as far as operating entities are concerned. So if you look at the fallout from FTX, that from November, that is still unraveling across the sector with, as you mentioned, Silvergate being the latest big name. So there's this still gnawing concern of who's next, really. And then also keep in mind the market backdrop is one that is deprived of liquidity and volatility, two pillars of the crypto world. Those have dried up considerably. So I think overall, I expect the crypto world to just continue slogging through this winter for a while longer.
Right, and Han, you say the name of the game is survival. Some analysts at the same time say actually US regulators are clearly intent on choking crypto to death even. But if we look at the price, it is still somewhat holding up, at least at pre-FTX saga levels, not obviously 2021 levels. But what's the direction of travel now for those prices, in your opinion?
Yeah, so for prices, I think it's sideways for the most part, at least for the near future. Now, unless we see Bitcoin meaningfully break above that 25K mark, then only that could be a signal for more bulls to come and enter the fray by whatever gateway that they can find still open, right? But using the glass half full lens, I think we've already seen the true bottom for, at least for Bitcoin prices that we saw back in November. Although I must say, back to your point on regulators, I think, yes, it's not so much about choking crypto to death. I think a point has to be made about how some regulators, including here in the UAE to even Hong Kong, they are still holding a rather constructive approach to the crypto sector.
Anton, thank you very much for your analysis on crypto markets.
Thanks for having me.
And now let's go to other top business stories from around the world. China's annual inflation has cooled to the lowest rate in a year as consumers remained cautious despite a lifting of stricter zero-COVID restrictions. Consumer prices rose 1% in February from a year ago, down from 2.1% the previous month. The slowdown was mainly driven by a deceleration in food price increases. Japan has narrowly avoided a recession with its GDP growing at 0.1% in the fourth quarter of 2022. The figure was much lower than initial estimates and forecast of 0.6% growth. Weaker consumer spending was the main factor behind the revision, as data shows that people went out less than expected during Japan's latest COVID-19 wave. And French senators have voted to raise the retirement age by 2 years to 64. That's come despite a fresh wave of nationwide strikes organized by trade unions to force President Emmanuel Macron to scrap his pension reform plans. The protests have disrupted fuel deliveries, trains and flights across the country. And that is all from Business for now.